Up next, we're going to attempt the flap lever. On a side note, we ordered that 3M fire barrier. It's a high temperature, and that's coming in, or came in to seal the firewall. That's why we left off on the firewall. But I always like to do some tests, so I literally glued a bunch of stuff together with it. This is Pro Seal. This is different types of aluminums prepped in different ways, because the instructions actually don't tell you if you can do aluminum. It says construction stuff. And I also took some 100 low lead and put some semi-cured stuff in there to make sure, you know, it doesn't dissolve it. Yeah, there's very little information from the actual manufacturer about what's good on it or what it's good for. So kind of just doing some own tests, and that'll be coming up too. All right, I found all the parts. Always amazed how organized or how accurate the RANS parts manual is. And now it's time to cut some bushings. I know I said it before, but I'll say it again. To make these little spacers, you can do it, you know, the pipe cutter or a lathe or whatever. I only have a table saw, so I made this little block of wood. You can see I cut it different sizes. It's obviously sacrificial. Drilled a 1/4 inch hole. You can push these in. I did a 3/8 hole on this end. Basically, it's kind of a nice snug fit. It's only MDF. And then you can take a sanding block and get it flat on this side, and then set your table saw blade and run it through. This one's going to be 3/8, and it gives it a nice clean cut without losing your fingers. So yeah, you just push it in flush there, nice and flush. You can tap it out a little bit, sanding stick, once we get this perfectly perpendicular. You just got to make sure it's flush up against there. And I've set my blade, so obviously you want it about that height, you know, enough to cut it, but not too much to cut through the whole wood. Yep, we're right at 3/8. There you go. There's a spacer. It's perfectly true. Exactly 3/8. My machining without a machining machine. Operation flap handle complete. That was a fun little project. Works smooth. A little bit of grease on these roller spacers. You had to cut a bunch of sleeves, whatever you call them, spacer bushings. The only question that I had is at the very end, well, my end as far as I've gotten, is they want you to cut these. They have these nice brackets that fit this way, but they want you to cut it according to figure 10D-09. And it looks like they want you to flip it the other way. I did not do it just because it fits so nice, but I'm sure I'll figure out why they want you to cut it later on. The flap handle is in. Sounds very loud without the engine running, but it's smooth, and the little bearings roll on there, which is nice. Feels really, really good. And put myself a little note about those brackets. I'm not a big fan of the way this cover looks, so I'm kind of thinking of maybe, I'm not sure if this is part of that mounting, so I'm just going to leave that for now, but I'm thinking of making that cover into like a storage compartment and mates up with the back area, but that's obviously way down the road. Another question that I had is they're asking for 2 thick washers to the left of the flat pull handle and only 1 to the right. And I don't have an explanation for it. It leaves an odd gap, and I really feel like, oh, I see, this is welded off center. I'm not sure if that has anything to do with it or if that's just messy welding, but it doesn't seem to make any sense to have that second washer on that side. So I'm not sure what other people have experienced, but I think it would fit better if I take that washer out. So I might, but we'll see. I think that'll be the end of the flap handle video for now. And I'm gonna move on to something else. Not sure what. That went too fast. Good night.